Hello everybody, Mark Brayer in the studio again, and welcome to another episode of Draw with Mark Brayer's Imagination. Glad to have everybody here. So today, I thought we would take advantage of or follow along with some of the new moon fever that's going on with the new Artemis moon rocket that just launched and came back spectacularly. It was exciting to watch. I hope some of you guys got to see it. So today I thought we would focus on something simple and something very much related to that mission. We're going to try to draw the moon. So if that sounds exciting to you, let's head on over to the drawing board and get started. All right, everybody, here we are over here at the drawing board. And we're going to start drawing the moon. Yes, the moon. So what we're going to start with is something round, obviously, to put on the paper. I'm just using a piece of paper I cut out for another project. And I'm going to put that on my paper right here. And we need something round. You could use anything you want. You could use a plate, a cup, a jar, something like that. However big your drawing you want, however large you want your drawing to be. So we're going to do this, and I'm going to go ahead and trace around this shape here. And of course, it doesn't need to be perfect, and you don't want to do it super dark. You just want to be really light. I think that's got it right there. There we go. So we have that. We're ready to start. And the one thing that we have to keep in mind when we draw the moon or a planet or the earth or something that's round or spherical is that there's a shadow side and then there would be a highlight side. So we want to be able to show some dimension. So we need to keep that in mind because it's curved, and because it's curved from one side to the other, all the things that we draw should try to enhance that or follow that rule so it helps make our drawing look better. So we're going to start out with, what I'd like to start out with is just maybe where I want to put a shadow. And where I might want to do that, we're going to make this the shadow side. We'll make this the light side. So I'm just going to kind of start right here and make a shadow curve around like that. Don't make it light, or don't make it don't make it light. Don't make it dark. Don't make a dark line, because this is going to be erased out. As a matter of fact, I might want to kind of use my eraser here, my kneaded eraser. Remember, we want to keep that with us. And use that to lighten that up a little, just so I can see just a gesture of where that line's going to be. And another tool I'm going to introduce today is the shading stump. Some of you may have seen these before. You can get them in art stores. I use them in charcoal. I use them in pencil. It's all dirty and grimy on one side and dirty on the other. But I use it for shading and for smoothing out shading. So we're going to start with the portion of the moon that is the flat plane, which is pretty much empty of craters. It's just a shape that the moon has that actually forms what people try to say that it's the man in the moon. Those are the shapes that kind of give it that face. So we're going to start with that. And that shape is kind of like I have some pencil on here, so this is going to kind of make a shape. And I'm going to kind of do that here. Start that this way. And we want to kind of have a shape that comes up here like this a little bit. And then it kind of comes down here a little bit. And it comes over here and gets a little funky over here. And then it comes out this way, and then it opens up into a larger area that comes over to the edge. And we're going to bring that down, and bring that all the way down here to the bottom, and come back up, and just kind of attach that together. And we'll try to kind of shade that in a little bit so we get a gesture of where that is, or a little indication where it would be. We might need to add a little pencil in here. You can just take your pencil and just lightly add a little bit of shading, and then you can go back to your stump and you can kind of shade in that pencil like we're doing here. Adds a little bit more to that color that we're wanting to make here. A little more tone. All right, it's looking fairly good. You want it to be soft. You don't want it to have hard edges. So we've kind of got that going. And that's pretty good. I mean, we don't need to be exact. It all depends on how you want to make your drawing. And as you work on it, you can refine it, make it better. But we just need an indication of where that's going to be. And I think that's pretty good right there. All right. Now we want to go ahead and put in our shading and put that in there. So that's in there for us. We're going to take my eraser and lighten that up a little more. And now I'm going to go ahead and put that shading in here. And I'm going to fill in this whole space right here, this crescent section that I drew earlier, that we drew. Just made that line. We're going to fill it in a little bit more. We want to add a little bit more pencil, a little more darker pencil with this, because this is the shadow. So it's going to be darker. It'll be darker than this. And we're going to do that here. We'll probably need to darken it some more, but that's okay, because we just work through this a step at a time, adding as we go. Okay, that's pretty good there. Now we're going to go back to my stump. Yep. And we're going to smooth that out. We're going to give it some smoothing here. Just rub on that pencil, smooth that out. And we'll do that like that. And we'll kind of give that we want to kind of fade that into this portion of the moon here. Just kind of fade those edges in. We want that to be as soft as we possibly can. So kind of fade that in. We don't want this to be a super sharp line. Fairly definite, but not super sharp. And I think that's good right there. That'll work for us. All right, let's put that down. Now we're at the point now where we can start putting in craters. And the craters, the key to doing craters for a moon drawing is you don't want to draw thousands and thousands of craters all over the moon, because that'll just be overkill and it'll kind of make it look a little funny, more like a sponge than a planet. And we also, as I said it in the beginning, remember we talked about this is a curved shape, so we want to make sure when we draw those craters closer to the edge that they're a little bit more squished, a little bit more. Let's draw this on this paper here real quick. So as we, like if we had it on an edge, we want those craters to be a little bit more squished like that, like this. You don't want them to be perfectly round on the edge, because we want to show that they're kind of going around the edge, disappearing around that edge. So let's just start right here with a crater in here. And we want to be random. We want to be random with these craters, big ones, small ones, medium size. As I heard once, the saying, big ones, fat ones, tall ones, small ones. So let's go ahead and just put some of those in here on the edge, just to kind of give a little definition to where the edge is and the shadow side. Kind of be random, big ones, little ones. And as we move towards the middle, we can start, because we can add some more craters into this area here. It's in this flat plain area of the moon that there aren't very many craters. So we can still add craters into all of these other areas here. So as we move this way, we want to make the craters a little bit more round, because we're starting to get closer to the middle of the moon. And as we get to like the center area, we can make the craters pretty round. So we'll just kind of put some in there, put some small ones in here around here, maybe a one like that shape, like that, and like that. And then we'll come over here, maybe a couple more on the edge here. Now on this side, the light side, we want to have more craters, but maybe lighter, not as pronounced, because we are talking about the light here, and light tends to bleach out the details. So we don't want to get too crazy with our dark lines. Put some there. And as we move in this direction, we can make them a little, probably want to kind of stay out of that area a little bit. There we go. As we move this way, they can be more round. So there we go. And the craters, we don't want them to be humongous. You know, obviously here, let me do a little test for you. You know, if we're looking at the moon here, we certainly don't want the craters to be like this, you know, or giant like that, or it starts to look like something very, very cartoony, which is okay. If you're drawing a cartoon of the moon, you could put a couple more in here like that, small ones, and that would be just about perfect. But if we're doing something a little bit more realistic, we want to try to keep them normal sized, normal crater size, whatever that would be. I don't know. So there we go. And I want to add a few more in here, a couple more. You can make some next to each other and some a little farther away. It's okay to have some connecting together, because there are some craters that have made crater holes right next to each other. So there we go. Let's do that. And now what we want to do is shade the craters. So the craters have a little bit more definition. And we also have to think of where this light is coming from. The light's coming from over here. So those craters, which are pushed in, they're holes, they're going to catch light on the light side. So the light side will be this side, and the shadow side will be here. So we'll put in a little bit of shadow right here on the craters. Put them there and there. And as we get into the shadow side, we can be a little darker, like that. Just catching just a hint of shadow. Doesn't have to be super dark or super detailed. Can do that. And here, as we get to the middle, there might be a little less shadow, because we're looking at more light coming over. As we go this way, we're getting closer to the light side. So there might not be as much. Okay. And over here, on this side, you would have just the opposite. You would have the craters, the shadow side, on this side, here. Because the light's coming from that direction. So there, we can do that. And there we go. And then that helps us there pretty good. And make a couple little, tiny little lines to make it indicate little tiny craters. We can do that. And even in the plains area here, we can still do little tiny ones if we want. Because there are some very, very small ones around the edges. So we can do that. All right, there we go with that. I think that's good. Now to kind of finish this up, at least to get us done with this pencil sketch of the moon, what we want to do here is we want to add in some outer space. Some space in the background here. And I'm going to kind of do this quick here, just for the benefit of our video. You can spend all the time you want on the shadow and on the adding color, and you can even do this in color. If you want to use colored pencils, if you want to use markers, watercolors, whatever you'd like to use, go for it. Whatever you're comfortable with. That's the best thing, that you enjoy making your moon, your planet. You want to enjoy, you want to imagine that you're there. That's the best thing. That's what I like to do. I like to imagine, hey, I'm here. This is the part of the moon that I'm on. Let's come around here a little bit more. Right here. Da, da, da. Do you ever sing while you're drawing? I know a lot of people listen to music. I do too. Sometimes when you're drawing, sometimes you don't. You just kind of add in some sound effects. You know, da 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 da. So now, okay, what we're doing this for is to accentuate the lighter side, to kind of brighten that up and show the contrast between the light and the dark. Now we'll come over here on this side and we'll do some in the back, or in the dark side, because we want to make sure that we have a balanced look here, because the moon is in space and it's surrounded by space. So it's going to have space all around it. So we should put some space all around it. And you know, you don't necessarily have to fill in the entire background. You can just use a little bit, just a small amount to kind of give the idea that there's space there in the background. We'll show that a little bit. All right. And if you have a photo of the moon that you like to look at, and you see things that you'd like to add to it, go for it. Make it your own. It's yours. This is your moon. This is my moon. All right. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I think we can pretty much call that done for now. And also, you know, if we want to add some colored pencils to this to give it some color, you can even go in here and you can add some stars if you'd like to. Although you can't really see the stars in space when you're looking at the moon sometimes, because the light from the moon tends to blot out all those stars. But there you go. That's our moon. Those are the basics of drawing a moon. Try it. See what you think. let me know. You can even tell me in the comments how you did when you drew your moon drawing. And I appreciate you watching, staying with us for this drawing. Thanks for watching this video. If you like what you see here, please subscribe because it helps me a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you later.